Good afternoon and assalamu alaikum, peace be to you all. I think there have been some brilliant points made today, really good. And just listening to some of the people on the panel just now talking about faith leaders, that was really interesting, imam or imama. When I decided to ask people in the Muslim community what our imams should be like, I got funny. You need to be funny. Oh, you didn't laugh. I thought it was so funny. But anyway, another one, not grumpy looking. Another one, and this is a bit more serious, to stop berating people and groups. Sometimes it slips out, or we think we're saying something in a corner somewhere, but it's seen and people know about it. And another one was, be optimistic. And we had somebody who started off his presentation saying, I'm going to be optimistic, which is fantastic. You're a role model, my brother. But we need imams to be engaged in the wider community. We need them to be doing all sorts of things. We need them to be involved in car washing events for charity. They need to be seen. That's one of the problems that a lot of people felt. They need to be playing the sports with the youth in the youth clubs, not just setting them up. They need to be waiting outside the mosque, ready and available for a chat, if anybody wants to be able to come to them. And then this last bit. And this last little bit is really very, very core to my heart in my working with imams over the 19 plus years. They need to be trained in counselling skills. Now, I don't need to say anything more about that because we've had enough of that. But we are looking at being empathic, congruent, being non-judgmental. And if you want to look at Rogerian's core conditions in pastoral, in person-centred therapy, an unconditional positive regard. Okay, anybody can go on a counselling course. They can all do that, fine. And that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is the practice of it. What I'm talking about is that just the theory will not do. Just to have a certificate to say that I have done this will not do. What it really is about is working and being proactive in that work and putting it into practice, because they themselves will find it life-changing for themselves. Oh, and this point. Open to accepting the diversity and difference amongst people. So we say, oh yes, what do we mention here? We've mentioned Deobandi, we mentioned Brelvi, we mentioned whatever. Okay, we know they exist. We all try to work together. We all try to be together. But actually what I'm talking about here is not to try, is to be, so that you are not trying to change other people's views, to conform with your own views, or to follow your school of thought or your practice. It is about accepting others for who they are. And then that leads me on to talking about we need to question ourselves about our own homophobia within ourselves. A lot of us don't realize it, but it's there. In terms of engaging with a wider community, when it comes to working with non-Muslim communities, this is so important. And here we need to be able to have our imams seen to be working and building their relationships and partnerships within that non-Muslim community. There isn't time to talk about it, but I will give you 2 words in terms of being true to your own religion, but still being involved with others as part of your working and your dawah and your being with them. Respectful presence. Imams in the mosque. Oh, subhanallah, how much time have I got? I put my timer and I forgot to switch it off. I know.
6 minutes.
Okay, let's make this the last point then, inshallah. Imams in the mosque. We are living in an amazing, dynamic community. We are living in a time where changes are happening rapidly. When I was a chaplain 20 years ago, my work was quite different to 15 years ago. My work now, even 10 years and 5 years now ago, is quite different. And one thing I want to be able to say is that when it comes to the mosque and the imams in the mosque and the funeral services and the likes, we have to be aware that we are living in a community where there are so many mixed marriages, where we will have be burying and doing funeral services for our loved deceased ones with Christian families. And we need to be able to cater with them. We need to cater for that, and if there was time I'd tell you more, but I think I've gone over. Thank you.